Hi, everybody. I thought I would come on and talk about reading journals. I know that it is almost December, it's like right before Thanksgiving, and I've already seen people starting to plan out or plan in their 2026 journals. So I love my reading journal. I have been doing reading tracking and reading journaling long before I was doing day to day and memory keeping journaling. So I thought I'd walk you through what I guess I've been journaling, like physically making a reading journal since 2021. So I've got what, 5 journals to show you. And then I'm currently in the process of figuring out what I want to do with my 2026 reading journal. I do find it does help just to incentivize. Is that the right word? Incentivize? Incentivize? I'm not sure. It does help me like want to finish a book, so that I can go and add it and update all my fun spreads. I've definitely gotten more. I've I've definitely added more spreads to my journals since when I started. But I think if it's your first year, you can start really basic. You can always add more pages or more trackers, and then like you can always stop using one if it doesn't work for you, which I definitely did this year. And I think I have a couple examples where like it just I didn't keep up with it, and like especially the monthly pages, I found that like I'm kind of hit or miss with a monthly wrap up page, and still trying to figure out like what format for the monthly wrap up looks the best for me. So I'm just gonna show you. I started journaling, reading journaling in this really cheap journal. I am pretty sure I got this on clearance from Walmart. It is an Exceed brand journal. It is a dot grid. The paper is not super thick. I don't know if I have the details. Like, okay, this is the brand, Exceed. The paper was fairly thin. I think for the most part, I did a couple that were front and back spreads, but this was kind of the ghosting. So I did 2 years in this and then moved on. And that was when I decided to get an Archer and Olive journal. I got the 8x8. Sorry, I'm covering up my mouth. I got the 8x8 square. Paper quality is great. I started in this journal using a lot more of like scrapbook paper, and washies and stickers and things. So you'll see that, but the ghosting is definitely minimal, if not, pretty sure it's non-existent. So I'm going to just go through all of them kind of as quickly as I can, give you some inspiration for spreads, and just show you kind of how my journaling has evolved. I hope that helps you if this is new to you, and you're intimidated. I know I still am. There's people doing amazing, fantastic, incredible, creative things, but that shouldn't make you feel like you can't do it either. And know that you can start small and grow and try things out. Like, this is about being creative. This is about getting things on paper and making you want to read more, but also like making you want to draw or collage, or you can use stickers. People have kits. But yeah, so I just hope that this really helps you think about maybe starting a book journal, or gives you some inspiration if you're planning yours out. And I hope to maybe, once I get my journals, maybe do a plan with me or something. So I'm going to talk about my 2026 reading journal at the end of the video. Okay, so we're gonna start in this Exceed journal. It has kind of like a faux leather cover on it. Not very interesting. Definitely got beat up, but I've had it, since 2021 or earlier. So this was my first reading journal. I was actually inspired by my friend Abby. She said she was going to do one, and she may have been sending me, Snapchats or something of what she was doing, but she inspired me along with some other creators. All the Rad Reads definitely has been an inspiration throughout the years, and I've grown to follow a lot more of amazing people, and I'll link some of my favorites down in the description. But I went to Pinterest and found this. I hand drew these numbers, and I'm really proud of that. I love it. Love the little nature floral frond. But this was the first time well, obviously it's my first one, but I have used this spread, I think, every single year for my daily reading. The way that I have chosen the different categories for what I'm marking have been different, but this year in 2021, I did pages read. So I only did 5 colors. I always choose a theme for my reading journal in color, and then in the later years I choose like the paper pack or kind of vibes of it. So but this was very simple. So obviously did not read a ton. October was really bad in 2021. I don't know why, but each column is 2 dot grid spaces wide. I have 1 dot grid space between each of the 12 columns, and then I just do 1 dot grid for each day. So you just go through, and I think it looks pretty cool. This is my statistics. I've done a similar chart for other journals, later journals. I usually switch kind of what stats I'm counting, just to make it make sense for me. So this year in 2021, I did the number of books I read, the number of pages, how many books came from the library, and how many books were ones that I owned. This was before I was getting ARCs, which has been a fun thing. I love this bookshelf. This is actually one of the drawings I did for like digital prints that I have that haven't been released yet. But in 2021, I chose a color a month, and that was how I kept track or colored in the books. So let's see, I can look at what the first book I read. The guest list. The guest list was this orangey red. I was using mild liners for these. So you can see I read 3 books in January. This says 4, so I'm not sure what the 4th book is. Maybe The Whisper Man, maybe that's the wrong. Who knows, who cares? Guest list, Whisper Man, Home Before Dark, The Pool of the Stars. So yeah, I picked up the wrong marker, but close enough. So, and then I just kept choosing 1 color a month. So I always draw more books than what I typically read. My goal has grown in 2021. You can see I read 30 books, and it's gone up. I think the most I read was 50 or 60, and now I don't read as much right now. This is my alphabet challenge. I love these little flags, and I have been using them in all the other iterations of reading journals. But basically I write the title for, the letter that it matches, and then I color in the little beginning of the flag. So I never finish it. I don't ever intend to complete a whole alphabet challenge. It's just something fun to see how well I do. I don't really intentionally, like, if I know, like, I need to read a C title, like, I don't I don't pick it. I am like the epitome of a mood reader. I have like anywhere from 2 to 8 books started at once in all different formats. So nothing is gonna help me complete that. And then this is the rating. I titled it ratings page. I don't think I give it a title anymore, but I like this kind of setup where the lines alternate colors, and I put the book title, an author, the date I finished reading, and then the rating for it. And I really like how it looks, and I've done this kind of list in all the other ones. This was a 5-star favorites page. I printed book covers. These are really large. I have since, I've made them smaller to fit kind of, obviously a smaller journal. I did a favorite quotes page. I just put these big quotation marks, and then I didn't write anything down. I actually added this envelope later. I tend to keep notes, so I just stuck in I keep like sticky notes, or I'll keep a running list of different quotes that I've found. So I've just kind of put them all into this envelope instead of writing them out. And I think that's kind of a cool little way to keep them in there. And then this was my Goodreads challenge. So my Goodreads challenge was 30 books. And then I just alternated what color so that none of the colors touched and matched each other. So I always do some sort of spread for my Goodreads challenge, usually something with boxes. I am never good at my genre trackers. I always forget books. These were supposed to look like books on a bookshelf. You can see I kind of made like some marks on the spine, but I don't think I kept up really well with it. I don't even know if that's 30 books. And then I added this books to consider, just when I learned about a book. And I would mark it off if I read it, or if I DNF'd it, or if I bought it. I don't love that spread, but it was kind of added after I did the rest of it. Then we move on to 2022. This was another Pinterest-inspired design. So I drew a circle and then in pencil, and then just kind of made some leaves, botanical things around it. And it's simple, but I really like it. You can see I was using some book stickers in this just to add a little bit of embellishment to the pages. So we were getting fancier. And another iteration of a bookshelf. I love the bookshelfy. This 2022, I also think I colored by month, and it got much fuller. I love how complete this looks. I drew my little string of pearls, which I've had like 2 or 3 of these plants and I can't keep them alive, so they live in my journals. My Goodreads challenge, you can see my markers didn't do so great, but I think my goal was 50, and then I added boxes because I actually read 53. And then I had my ratings for, which I kind of like this, and maybe I'll do this for next year's, and keep that in mind. So I just traced some stars and then colored them in, and so then you can tell what each book was rated as I completed them. Very similar to the 2021 is the alphabet challenge for titles. You can see I did much better that year. And then this was when folks started doing the like 22 books for 2022. The way I do mine, I always set an intention of half of the books. So I did 11 books I set in January, and then I revisit this spread in June and choose the other half of the books, because I do not stay on top of like new releases and what authors are writing, and I always am finding new recommendations of older books, so I don't want to set all 22 or whatever books at the beginning of the year. So I always do the first half, and then I set the second half for the second half of the year. So and I did pretty good that year. Usually these are ones that I end up really liking a lot. There's a couple 3 stars, but nothing that got, less than 3 stars. So that's cool. When I illustrated, I started doing the book of the month subscription during 2022. So I just drew a bunch of different books. I think this was inspired by Pinterest as well. And then I made boxes for each of the month, and I just put what book I picked. And then I just wrote skip if I didn't choose anything. Genre tracker again, I think I did better this year. You can tell they're books. I based it kind of similar to the 2021 tracker. And then we have a statistics page. I liked these banners that I did. And you can see I used the same categories from 2021 for this one. I think this side needs more color, so I feel like I should have colored those in or colored these in or both or something, but yeah. 5-star favorites. I don't add these throughout the year. I always do them at the end of the year just because I never know how many there are going to be and I want it to be balanced because that's the kind of person I am. And then I did a best book by month spread. So I did the similar to the book of the month spread and just put little boxes and then chose my best books. And I don't know why I didn't choose one for December. Maybe I didn't read a book in December. And then for 2022, I decided to do monthly wrap-up pages. So I made calendars for the month and I colored in when I read each day. And then I set a TBR, which, I already told you I'm a mood reader. So this was not something that worked well. I think it worked well at the beginning of the year, but I didn't do well with it after. So I did, its own little list of books I read with the date and the rating. And then I did a favorite quotes page for the month, which you can see I didn't use. And so I did that for every single month. Sometimes I added some stickers and made it cute. There's a quote there from 7 Days in June. March, and I decorated the books on the bookshelf. Cute. But I forget when I kind of drop off here. So some of these pages, they just weren't well utilized. I messed up there. I left off, so I had to add that line. I chose a theme and colors every month. But you can see, I must have gotten busy or who knows, but I didn't set up all the spreads. So if I were to do this again, I probably would set them all up prior to the year starting. Oh, and I got rid of the, what was I doing? Just a quotes page, I think. Yeah, I was doing... Oh, I got rid of the TBR, I think, and I got rid of the quotes page. So I just did the reading calendar and then the list of books that I read. And I actually kind of like that. But just not well used. There's a quote. And then November, I think these were ideas for next year, but I didn't do anything. And then, and then I just started using this as my physical bookshelf, which needs updated and is not accurate. So that was 2022. And then I moved to my Archer and Olive journal. I was inspired by a lot of other creators that were using scrapbook paper and things in theirs. So I added, some washi tape in the beginning. And then my theme for 2023, I chose this floral, very romantic, greens and pastel-y kind of colors, but I had this bright green that I really loved. So, so I just covered with, this was from Joann's, rest in peace. I used some of my washi tape, went with I like botanical themes. but kind of did a little scrapbooky vibe there. And then this, I think sometimes I look at scrapbook paper, like paper packs, I like ones that are themed, and they'll give me an idea and inspire me for a theme. And that's honestly what the past 3 years have been like. And even for next year, I've kind of done that. So I think these all were in the same scrapbook pack or paper pack. And so you can see where I kind of got inspired for my colors. But did a daily reading similar to those 2021 and 2022. I did the pages read again, but I just was not good at tracking what I actually read and updating. These are where my bookshelfies, these are so good and I love them. I love looking at them. So I started coloring in the book spines to look like the book that I read. This is probably the best one. But I, did a double spread for this bookshelf, and then I illustrated a couple things and put some stickers that were meaningful to me. This is supposed to be a little deer I have. I have a couple little deer statues from my grandpa's house, a plant. I put this little pip sticker of flowers in a can. I just love how these look. I put series together, Heartstopper, Agatar, very cool. Absolutely love that. And then I didn't add a title to this, and I changed that instead of book, it's title and author, but very similar to how it's looked in the earlier iterations of this. And I did 2 pages to have enough. I always make sure there's extra. And my statistics page, so you can see I added, this was when I started reading ARCs, so I added in a column for when I was reading ARCs each month, but I did number of books, number of pages, library owned, and ARCs. And I love, in the light green. And then this is one of my favorite spreads that I do now. It's days I finished a book, and I just love how clean these little calendars look like. I just alternated through my color palette, so I had 6 colors and just did those. I did a spread for anticipated releases, so I used some stickers and just marked a couple of them, so that was kind of cool. These were ARCs. I didn't keep up with this very well. And didn't read a lot of what I requested, which has hurt my rating, and I'm working to make it better. Aren't we all? I did do a book of the month spread again, so just what I decided to get in my box as my main pick. I did a best book by month, and then my 5-star faves. Mostly graphic novels that year. This was a new one. I did a total library savings, so I try to keep track of the books that I read at from the library, and then what their costs were. And I actually didn't mark them all and didn't total it up, but I love this with the green, and then I did the coins with a metallic marker, and I just kind of love how that looks. And then this was my Bookstagram growth, so I was at 860 by the end of the year. We're a little over that, now over 1,000, so thank you so much. I love you all so much. So this is my Goodreads challenge, 10, so 65. I don't know if I added more or what my goal was. I'd have to go back to Goodreads. It might have been 65, and then I just added this little heart. So I did have I don't think I initially had the key down here. That was something I added later. And I didn't add in when I don't rate books. I haven't been rating nonfiction, so I just colored those in gray and then put the lines through it. I did 12 for 12, so these were 12 books recommended by 12 of my followers. I didn't do great at reading these or trying to make sure I read them. So, but I did read a couple of them. Alphabet Challenge, did that again, very similar, just spread it out. Now that it was in a different journal type size. 23 for 2023. For 2023, I did monthly pages for each wrap up. These were the moods from Storygraph. And then I just did some statistics for each page. So, or each month. Books, pages, how many physical books, how many were ebooks, how many were owned, how many were ARC, how many were library, how many were from Kindle Unlimited, how many 5 stars, and how many did I add to my collection. And then I would just choose a theme and do some stickers, and then I would put the books that I read. So I like how these all turned out. It wasn't something I kept up and kept doing, but I do like these a lot. So I'll just flip through April, May, June, July, August, my Taylor Swift, September, October, which October actually inspired, I think, my next reading journal. November. And then December I did really good, but I never went back and added my moods. So, yeah. And then this is 2024. So I found a paper pack that had these. This was also from Joann's. It had these kind of witchy vibes, crystals and botanicals again. And then I love these. This sticker pack came from Michael's. They might still have it, but it's these same colors, so it was just perfect, and I used these a lot in this journal. So I just again did a collage. I love this. This was a single sheet of paper, and then these gold butterflies are from that sticker pack. But I did my days I read tracker, but this is whether I read a physical book, an ebook, an audiobook, a mixed day of reading, or none. So I did better. I just didn't track some of December, but another bookshelfie. This year I made it a little smaller and then put this little kitty and a wall hanging and a hanging plant, some different art supplies and plants on the shelves. But I don't love this one as much as 2023's, but I do still think it's cute, and I just love seeing them fill up. I didn't read as much this year. 2024, my son was born in 2023, so 2024 was his first year, and it just reading took a backseat. I went back to work, and it just wasn't my priority. He did spit in this or something or get it wet, and so it did bleed a little, but I did the title and author page. I did 2 pages and just changed the color. This is my statistics page. I just did library owned and other because I was doing ARC's Kindle Unlimited and borrowing books from people, but I didn't really do that too much. So genre tracker, again, didn't keep up super well with it, but it's there. I like this little format. I might have to do this again for next year and just keep trying to do better with it. Days I finished a book, still one of my favorites. Very cool. Goodreads challenge, so I didn't, it was 60 and I didn't meet that. I read just almost 40 books in 2024. Best book by month. 5-star favorites without a label. But you can see just how well these papers and these butterfly stickers work together. This was a new one. I think this was inspired by All the Rad Reads, but monthly ratings in these boxes. I really like it, except I can't find a great white pen. And if you have a great solution, I have tried a bunch. I just, they don't work well, so it is what it is. Title, Alphabet Challenge. Love these blue metallic holographic kind of butterfly and moth stickers. 24 books for 2024. So again, set these the first half, set those the second half. The gold is what I finished in 2024. And then if I finished anything in 2025, I just went back and added a different, or I just did it in black. Series tracker. I did this again in 2025, and I don't think it's for me. I don't read enough series. And I don't have anything on that page. I did a project TBR. It didn't, I went from 58 to 70. It did not work out well. I did a halfway top 10, and then my yearly top 10. Yeah. NetGalley requests, I didn't. Like I said, it was the first year of my son, so I didn't do any ARCs. And then form of reading, so just physical books, and whether they were mine or someone loaned it to me. Library, physical, audio from Libby, and then ebooks from Libby, Kindle Unlimited, and ARC requests. So it does look like I did read 2 ARCs, but they didn't make it to this request page. And then TikTok, I think I updated this. I don't know where, oh, okay, right there. End of 2024, I was at 470. Right now in 2025, I am over 800, so that's awesome. And then Insta, end of 2024, I was at 930, and right now I'm either right here or right before it. So we've made some moves, and appreciate all the follows. These aren't spreads that I kept up with any other year. For 2025, I was inspired by some brighter colors and some butterflies again. So I use these butterfly stickers throughout, but I just wanted something brighter. Somebody else did this, I think in 2024, a little bookshop where you can see into the page for the bookshelving, and I really liked that. This is based off of one of the popular coloring books that all the girlies using alcohol markers uses. So I just transferred that into here and then colored it and kind of expanded it on my own. So I'm happy with how this little first time doing cutouts. I think it's really cute. And then this is my bookshelfie. I made this sticker look like a frame. I added a little doggy, a little cat, some plants, and I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. It's getting there. I've been a little slow to reading, but I think I need to add a couple, color some of these in, but this is perfect. This S and the Sociopath, I did a good job on that one. Some are harder than others. You can tell I don't always, I'm not able to replicate what it looks like, but I love the Wedding People one. Listen for the Lie, the little audio cord is there. I love The Secret of Orange Blossom Cake. So this is cool. I love the bookshelfie pages. I don't know how many times I can say that in this video. For this spread of all the books that I read, I did a little Dutch door for the first time, and I like that. That's really cool. I only had to write that once, and I'm glad that I've read enough to move onto this back page. Don't know that I'm going to get over here. And I did actually add an extra row to this on both pages, so it's a little messed up, but that's okay. What I read, I need to update these. I have tracked this in my Hobonichi weeks, so I do have the information. I have the book that I read and the days that I didn't read, so I'll be able to update that before the end of the year. Love this checkered. This was a pack from Joann's, and it definitely inspired my color choices. But again, absolutely love. I'm so glad I started doing that. I did a statistics page. This year I just focused on the books I read, the number of pages, and then the average rating for the year. So I just kind of switched it up a little. I did this kind of pixel a day spread. I think I was going to track it like this and maybe some other things. And then I just didn't know what I was doing with it. So it exists. I probably won't do it again, but I think this little spread is cute. But just gives you some permission. If you don't know how you're going to use something that you've made, you don't have to use it. And it could just be a pretty page in your journal. I did the monthly ratings again. I love the bold black against these colors. I did add in an extra column for, instead of, I think I had the month there before. Yeah, I just added that on the side, and then I added a column for my nonfiction reads, which I haven't been reading a lot of this year. I did a genre tracker, which I think I've kept up with pretty well. The format tracker, I have messed up somewhere along the line. I have way more books here than I have actually read. So I think I'm kind of giving up on this one, but I do like just the look of these. And then I did a series tracker. Again, I don't think I'm going to carry this spread onto the next year. And then anticipated releases, I really didn't keep up with marking some of these, but I don't know, maybe something I do next year. Okay, my phone died while I was recording this. So halfway top 10 I haven't completed yet. I'll probably do that before the end of the year. I usually don't do it at the right time frame. Reading challenge, I set my goal as 50 this year. I don't know that I'm going to get there, but we'll see. I haven't finished a book in November yet, so it might just be a year where I accept that I'm not going to meet my challenge goal. This year I did the Alphabet Title Challenge, but I also did the Alphabet Author Challenge, and I wanted it to look different than the other spread, so I did these boxes, and I originally just had the alphabet, the letter in it, but then I was coloring it in, and then I decided I needed to write the author last name in there. I did another project TBR, but we moved in June, and all my books are somewhere else. I don't know where they are, so I really don't know what my current count is, but I bet similar or higher because I do be buying books. I really like how these look. I decided to do some monthly reviews, but they didn't really work out well. I was going to do the calendars where you mark kind of a color line for each book for how long it took you to read them. I didn't set them up at the beginning of the year, and so I eventually set some of them up. So I used it for the first time in February. I like it. I might do it again, and maybe get it set up, but I actually did it longer than I thought I did. I think I did until April. And I've got all these blank pages that I didn't do anything on. So, oh well, maybe we'll set them up. Best book by month. I haven't printed out title or cover pages or cover book covers in a while. So I just have it marked down what book I chose for that month. And then I do the top 10 like midway point, and then I did a top 10 of 2025 that I'll fill in here. I'll put my 5-star favorites at the end of the year, and then I did a book bingo this year. I chose my own pieces, and I actually have really completed it. So I've got 5 more: a rom-com, one that made me cry, a book that was set in another country, historical fiction, and a fantasy book. So I'll probably do that again. I thought it was fun. 25 books for 2025. These were the books I set at the beginning of the year. And then I have, this is my list of what I need to print to put in here. That was my second half. And I have read a couple of them, so that's cool. I really love this checkered washi tape with these butterflies, and I might have to do that as a week spread or something because I really like them. And then this was inspired by All the Rad Reads. So I did these circles. This is like when a book was published. So I did the most recent 5 years over here, and then did a couple. I did 2020 over here, and then a couple decade ranges. So I really obviously are reading more current books. I need to kind of revisit. Maybe there's some books here that I need to look into. So that may be a new goal for next year. But that's, and I did try to do, I forget what person is doing a mosaic tracker with like genre, pages, source, and format. I think it looks so sloppy when I did it. Maybe it's the colors I chose, but I was not happy with it at all. So I thought about adding it in there, and then I hated it. But yeah, that's the end. So for my 2026 reading journal, I debated what kind of format or what to use. I thought about maybe going to a different size journal. I did really like this square size that I used for 3 years, but I just thought about doing something different. I thought about doing this size. What I tried first, and I don't have it with me, I don't have the exact one with me, and I might have gotten rid of some of the pages. Let's see if I can find them. Okay, what I originally wanted to try and do was kind of use things that I already had. And so I, for a time, used a Happy Planner for regular weekly planning, monthly planning that I did at work. And I still have 2 of them, like just the remnants, the leftover, like with all the planning pages in it. And I thought about using a Happy Planner like skeleton as the reading journal. And so I bought a puncher to make the pages. I was going to use like cardstock, but then that didn't have any grid. So I actually bought a pack of Dot Grid 9-disc notebook paper refills. That's 120 GSM. So, not super thick as cardstock, but it was, good quality. So I bought that and was going to refill it so that I had the grid. I think the grid is helpful for me for spacing. I'm not great with a ruler, but I tried to take some of the spreads that I did in the past. And so I did like a mock-up of like my book tracker, but I forget what. There were a couple spreads. I tried to do something on, my daily reading one, where I do like a column for each of the months, and I could only get 6, 8, 10, 11, which was using like 2 blocks, which is kind of what I like to do. So I ultimately decided that wasn't going to work. The spreads weren't going to be what I wanted them to look like, and they weren't going to function the same way without me changing it. And there's some that I just have used. You just saw that. There's some that I've used over and over throughout the years that I just find I like them. I'm used to that, and I don't want to try something different. So I didn't want to reinvent the wheel, so I just decided that the Happy Planner was not going to work for my reading journal. So then I was like, do I want to do an Archer and Olive? And I did not necessarily love the covers for them. I can't remember which one I selected, but I'll try and put a picture here or link it down in the description. But I ultimately went with another 8x8 square journal. So I'm waiting for that to ship, and I'm thinking, I posted a picture, I'll show that here, of what my theme is, but I did a brighter theme last year and just decided to do like a rainbowy theme. Gonna be kind of a junk journal-y, collage style. Still using like the scrapbook paper and some washi tape and maybe some stickers to make things easier. But I do really enjoy drawing out the spreads and just making them my own. So I'm excited to get started on that. And maybe I will be able to walk you through some of what I do with the setup, depending when that gets here and how busy things get. But I usually work on my 2026 journal. I work in higher education, so we get a nice break for between the semesters and the holidays. So I do like to work on my journal when I have some time alone at home and I don't have to think about all the other responsibilities I have in my life. So I'm hoping to do that. But let me know if you keep a reading journal. What are some of the content creators that you like? I'm always looking for new inspiration and cool ideas, and to connect with new creators as well. Reading journal content, setting them up and filling them out is probably one of my most digested pieces of content on YouTube. So yeah, thanks for checking this out, and I hope you enjoyed my journals.